Hey guys, welcome to the Soccer Robotics online course, and today we are going to be building the TJ3B, and what I have on screen right now is the instructional video. So this is like the official CGI of how to build your robot, and it has lots of CGI about where to put the screws and the instructions basically. But I wanted to put some annotations and like highlight some stuff that I think is important that you might miss in the videos. So yeah, let's get right into it.
TJ3B is a robot kit. You can learn to build a robot and learn the programming language C while having lots of fun. TJ3B has a main board, a ball sensor, a line sensor, moving parts, and a program CD that contains C-style.
Yeah, if you guys are wondering, the stuff over here is Japanese, and there's probably going to be translations on the right. So if you see that, just don't worry about it. It's probably just translated exactly what you need to know. And for your information, the stuff over here is like how many of those parts there are. So yeah, if you want to go check that, you can, but you don't really need to because I'm pretty sure all the parts are going to be included. Yeah.
Assembly. You can build TJ3B with front-wheel drive or back-wheel drive. However, we will be showing how to make the robot with front-wheel drive.
Yeah, I recommend front wheel drive
Two
as well.
gear motors are set symmetrically on the robot. Please insert the motors so that the red cable faces the robot circuit board.
Yeah, so this is the first step. So get out your parts, get out the motor, and get out this like funny looking plastic thing. Make sure though, this is an important thing, that the red wire, as it said in the video, is facing down on both of these motors. Because that will dictate like the direction, and if you mess that up, the motors might go backwards or they might not go in the same direction. So just make sure you put the red cables on the bottom. There are times when the cables crisscross each other. I think that's the new model. Like they have a wrap thing right here, and then the blue cable crosses down and the red cable crosses up. In that case, just go with the original one. So the red cable over here should be facing down. Um, and also one more thing other than the cable color is the pink shaft right here. The pink shaft should be facing outwards. So there's a pink shaft over here on this motor facing outwards, and the two white shafts should be facing each other. And the reason for this is because the wheels that we're going to attach fit on the pink shaft but not the white shaft. So if you don't do this, then you're going to have to unscrew everything and reorient the motors. So yeah, just keep in mind to do that. All right.
Then, insert the motors into the plastic motor holders and insert the M2.6 screw into the holes indicated in the animation.
Yeah, make sure you insert the screws this way, like the long way like this, so you can unscrew it easily. Because if you'd notice, if you insert it from the other way, you're gonna have to fit a screwdriver in between here, which is pretty much impossible. So if you wanted to be able to unscrew stuff and take apart your robot easily, I would recommend putting your screw in from this side and securing it with a nut over here.
Secure them with washers and nuts. Next, take the motor attachment board. Attach screws and secure them with washers and nuts. Secure the motors on the board with screws and nuts so that the pink axis is pointing out. Now
Nice
attach
CGI.
it to the back of the main board with washers and nuts.
Yep, so this is the part if you were gonna do back wheel drive, you'd use these screw holes, I think. Yep, these four somewhere over here. But in our case, we're doing front wheel drive because, in my opinion, it's better. So you are going to be using these screw holes. So just keep in mind, don't I mean, there's not really that much of a downside if you use the back wheel drive. It's just that it's not going to be consistent with the tutorial, and also it's just, in my opinion, worse. So I just suggest doing the front wheel drive.
Plug in the cable connectors into the white sockets as shown. Be careful to attach the wheels so that the tire grooves look like they are pointing down when looked at from the front. Push the wheel into the tire. Then push the shaft into the wheel and attach it to the pink shaft on the motors.
Yeah, so this is the part where you'd realize if you'd accidentally put the pink shaft on the inside because you wouldn't be able to attach the wheel right here. And also, previously it said make sure that the wheel pattern is like this. I wouldn't worry too much if you screwed that up because it doesn't really have that much of an impact, but yeah, if you did it, good job.
How to make the ball caster. Put a screw through the hole of the ball caster connector and secure it with a nut.
Yeah, so this part right here is the hardest part of the robot, so don't sweat it if you can't get it first try, because this is the hardest part about making this robot.
Put the silver ball, the spacer, and the connector between the two boards and secure it with the screw and nut.
Yeah, so this is the hardest part. And what I recommend you do is you make this part and then you take one of the side pieces right here and then you lay it on the side on the table and then you put the part that you made on it and then you put the middle part and the screw through it and then you put the ball on it and then you finally put this part, sandwich it on, and then put the nut and slowly tighten it and then you won't have to like be balancing multiple parts, but it's still hard even if you do it exactly as I said, which I don't even know if it's the best way, but yeah, that's how I do it. And just do it a lot of times and you'll eventually get it.
Align the ball caster as shown in the picture, and then secure it to the main board with a washer and nut. How to build the touch sensor. We will set up the screws that operate the touch sensors. Insert 4 screws from below and secure them with nuts. Then, on the inner screws, which are going to be our rotation axis, screw another nut. Now, insert 4 screws from the top and secure them with a nut. Then attach a second nut to the screws, which will be rotation axis. On the two touch sensor boards, insert small screws with washers and secure them with a nut. Next,
Yeah, be careful because you really need this part. Like if you forget this part, doesn't it doesn't sense the touch because you need the metal sticking out here a little bit. So if you didn't include that part, it wouldn't do that. So just a note that you double check if you have that part on.
put a screw through each spring, then add a spacer, then a nut to secure the spacer. Insert the other side of each spring into the small hole in the touch sensor board. Add a spacer on the rotation axis screw facing up. Insert the screw attached to the spring into the main board, then slide the right touch sensor in place and secure it with a nut. To secure the screw attached to the spring, add a washer and a nut to the screw. Do the same for the left touch sensor.
Yeah, so feel free to go back on the in the video to see what you needed to do, but yeah, just do the same for the left
When
touch sensor.
finished, test the movement of the sensors. Attach a screw, washer,
Oh, wait, one thing I forgot to mention about these springs is that if you attach this spring to this screw and then you tighten it with a screwdriver, sometimes you like tighten it so much that the screw rotates this way with the spring attached to it. So then the spring gets stretched like this, if you guys can imagine, and that like bends the string, but bends the spring, but that doesn't have any consequences except for it would look uglier, but it's still works as a sensor. So yeah, just be careful if you want a perfect and beautiful robot. Just yeah, careful that when you're tightening that screw, don't take the spring with you and bend it.
of the sensors. Attach a screw, washer, and nut to each of the central touch sensor boards. Then put a screw through the spring. Add a spacer and secure it with a nut. Attach the spring to the small hole of the board. Add a spacer and a nut to the screw, which will be the rotation axis. Insert the screw attached to the spring into the main board from the lower side. Then insert the board onto the rotation axis screw and secure it with a nut. Secure the screw attached to the spring with a washer and nut as well. Do the same for the second central touch sensor. When finished, test the movement of the sensors. Attaching the sensors. Insert 4 long screws into the ball sensor, then spacers, then nuts to secure them.
Yep, so when you do this,
Check for
right here, uh, be careful that this arrow or the indented part of the sensor is facing forwards. And the three holes over here are facing backwards, as you'll see later. But just keep in mind the orientation of these things.
the ball sensor and the direction that it is pointing in. Put the plastic tube over the ball sensor.
Yeah, so as this claim is saying, this tube it has been upgraded in recent models to a sponge, so you should have a sponge if you are doing this kit. Um, and no worries, just it's a better part, so you just peel the sticky sticker thing off, and then you just attach it. And careful so that the opening in the sponge, like the opening in the sponge right here is facing where the arrow is facing so that the sensor is not blocked by the sponge. So what the sponge does is it blocks every other angle than the front so the sensor doesn't like sense stuff behind it. So yeah, just be careful so that you have the opening facing forward. Oh, I forgot to erase that.
Then attach the two boards that secure the ball sensor on the main board.
Yeah, this stuff you don't need to do.
Slide the long screws into the main board. Add washers and spacers from the bottom and
This
secure them
stuff you
with
do need to
nuts.
do.
Make sure the line sensor is facing down and the arrow pointing to the
Yeah, again, your line sensor probably doesn't look like this. It will look like a fat sponge thing around it. So it's just a better upgraded line sensor. And so just keep in mind there should be an arrow on top, so keep that arrow facing forward, and you should be good.
front. Then Secure it with washers and nuts. Finally, attach the nameplate on the main board. Congratulations, you're done. Function test. There is already a program inside the TJ3B right out of the box. Please insert 3 batteries, then switch it on and check that the green LED is blinking. Then press the big start button. The robot will go forward, backwards, turn left, turn right, then pivot left and right. Now let's check the sensors. The ball sensor will react to light from the front and the green LED will light up. The line sensor will respond to light ground and the first red LED will blink. The left touch sensor will activate the red 2 and the right touch sensor will activate the LED red 3. Both red 2 and red 3 will respond to the central touch sensors. Your robot is working correctly. Now it is your turn to program it. Enjoy!
Yep, so you should have a finished TJ3B and a working TJ3B. And the next video I will show you how to install the software and stuff to program it, and then you guys will be able to get started in programming your own robot. So yeah, check out the next video.